Welcome to the Business, Finance, and Justice, Land, Natural Resource, and Cultural Preservation meeting on February 22nd, 2022. I call the meeting to order at 5:45 p.m. Invocation, Representative Cloud, if you would, please. Thank you, Representative Cloud. Roll call, Legislative Clerk April Lindsay.
Randall Hicks.
Present.
Thomasine Yohola Osborne.
Present.
Patrick Freeman. Sandra Golden.
Present.
Mark Randolph.
Present.
Charles McHenry.
Here.
Joseph Hicks. Daryl Proctor.
Here.
Galen Cloud. Nelson Harjo Sr.
Here.
Madam Chair, you got 9 present and 1 absent.
We have 9 present and 1 absent. This constitutes a quorum. All business conducted will be valid. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes, January 25th, 2022. I'll give the committee time to review and I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the minutes with any necessary changes.
We have a motion from Representative Randolph to approve the minutes with any changes necessary. Do I have a second? I have a second from Representative McHenry. Discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Charles McHenry. Galen Cloud.
Yes.
Nelson Harjo.
Yes.
Daryl Proctor.
Yes.
Randall Hicks.
Yes.
Patrick Freeman. Sandra Golden.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 8 in favor and 0 against.
We have 8 in favor, 0 against. The minutes of January 25th, 2022 passes. Next item on the agenda is order of business, TR 22-040, a tribal resolution of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a First Amendment to a revolving loan and security agreement with BOKF N.A. doing business as Bank of Oklahoma and an amended and restated revolving note with BOKF N.A. doing business as Bank of Oklahoma. Sponsor Galen Cloud.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to do pass.
We have a motion to do pass from Representative Cloud. Do I have a second?
Second it.
We have a second from Representative Harjo. Discussion? Representative Cloud.
I'd like to give the time to Jesse Allen.
Mr. Allen.
Chair, thank you, Representative. This legislation is in conjunction with the master plan legislation that we spoke about at the LNC meeting. I believe it was last week or the week before. So this is, there is already a line of credit, but this is just amending that line of credit to encompass the master plan proposal. And Finance, Clay Darnell is here to further explain the financing portion of this.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Mr. Darnell.
Thank you. If I could add just a few pieces of information about the note. It increases the size of our borrowing capacity from the present $75 million to $125 million. As Mr. Allen, Secretary Allen mentioned it would be used to finance the expansion of the Capitol complex. The new rate on the loan is it has a new reference rate. It's called SOFR, and that stands for the Secured Overnight Financing Rate times or plus 75 basis points. And the old rate was LIBOR plus 75 basis points. So it still has that margin of 75 basis points. It's just got a different reference rate. And all loans across the United States and really across the world are using that new reference rate. Then it's collateralized by the permanent fund. And the permanent fund's got approximately $500,000 in assets. And since the borrowing capacity it would be 125 million, we don't anticipate borrowing the full amount. But even if we did, the assets are it'd be approximately 400% of what's needed. Okay, so you've got sufficient collateral. The maturity date stayed the same on the note, and that's July 2nd of 2024, where we would have to come back and renegotiate the rate. And then I already mentioned what the proceeds are. I'll just answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Darnell? Any questions for Mr. Allen? Mr. Allen, go ahead.
I believe what we talked about when we passed in the LNC meeting, the estimated cost for the master plan, estimated at 90 million. Obviously, we will go through the bidding process for that with the contractors, with the subs, with the materials, but that is our estimate, and that's what we based this amendment to the loan fund to encompass. Obviously, we will come back, and once we get the full bid price, we will have a secure price, but that was our estimate at this point.
Thank you. Any other questions? Representative Hicks?
Full master plan or just?
So that is for the travel services, member services building. That is for the new courthouse. That is for the education and cultural services building, and for the courthouse and Light Horse building.
Okay. This might be a question for Mr. Darnell. Mr. Darnell, if this is approved, how will this affect projects that our casinos have? Are they utilizing some of this funding as well, or do they have a different funding source?
I apologize, I missed part of your question.
If this is passed, is it going to affect our casino projects, or are they two separate funding sources?
My understanding is it will not affect casino projects. Those are two different funding sources. They're two different notes.
Yeah. And then the repayment of this loan coming from where?
This would be the gaming distribution with the current allocation of the gaming distribution to the debt retirement fund. We estimate, using a conservative estimate, it'll take between 17 and 18 years to amortize the debt. But we've used 10 million going forward every year. Just to give you a comparison, we would actually pay down as quickly as possible. And this year we paid over 15 million. So that 17 to 18 years is using the $10 million, which I think is really conservative. If the gaming revenues fall back to where they have been in prior years, we should be fine.
Last question, sir. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but what is the plan if, because you mentioned the distribution is based on now from the gaming, what if it goes in the opposite direction?
I meant to say the 10 million is based on FY18 revenues. It's not based on now. The 15 million was based on what we got and received in the prior year, and that would come before the council for approval every year as part of the CAB. So I think when you talk about what would happen if there was a reduction in gaming revenues, you have to think about it in terms of what would happen if there was a 10% reduction or a 15% reduction. I mean, we don't think the gaming revenues are going to go away. And actually, what would happen is that we would just have less to pay. So the debt would take longer to amortize. Think about it this way. If someone goes to finance a building, it could be a 30-year amortization, right? If you go to the bank, you could finance a building for 30 years, 25 years. So I think that the nation could, that payback period could be extended a few years. And it would just cost a little bit more money, right? It would cost, you'd have to pay more interest because the debt would be out there longer.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Hicks. Is there any other questions for Mr. Darnell? Thank you, Mr.
Madam
Darnell.
Chairperson, this is Kyle Haskins. May I briefly be heard?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to point out that the security agreement requires a waiver of every substantive right that we have. It subjects us to Oklahoma law. It's a waiver of jurisdiction. It waives all rights and all remedies. It requires us to indemnify Bank of Oklahoma. The only time that we should ever seriously consider entering into an agreement like this is in a situation where we've had a long time relationship with the institution. And I know that we have with Bank of Oklahoma, and they've been very good to us, and we've been very good to them. We have made money for them. I just want to point out that this agreement does require us to waive every substantive legal right that we possess. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haskins. Mr. Darnell?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to speak again. I forgot to mention that, let's say gaming revenues did go away. Remember, this loan is fully collateralized by assets that are in the permanent fund that are 400% of what's required now. So I don't envision a time when the nation wouldn't be able to satisfy this debt one way or another.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Galen Cloud,
Yes.
Nelson Harjo,
Yes.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Randall Hicks,
Yes.
Patrick Freeman,
Yes.
Sandra Golden,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Charles McHenry.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 8 in favor and 0 against.
We have 8 in favor, 0 against. TR 22-040 passes. Next item on the agenda is other business. Is there any other business? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is announcements. Are there any announcements? The LNC committee will be meeting at 6 p.m. Adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion to adjourn from Representative McHenry. Representative Randolph seconds the motion. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Benediction, Representative Proctor, if you would please.
Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight, Lord, as we do our nation's business. I pray for blessings on this nation and blessing on our council and our administration and the citizens of this nation, Lord. I thank you for everything that you do for us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Representative Proctor. We are adjourned at 6 p.m.